Hi everyone, it's Myriam and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if this is your first time watching one of my videos. In this week's video I'll be talking a little bit about my art and business goals for 2019 while I do an ink drawing, and at the end of the video I'll show you a little bit of my very first bullet journal, which you can see me kind of set up here wrongly, but I did fix it later on. I just didn't seem to have connected that it was 2019 yet. So before I jump into talking about my 2019 goals, I quickly wanted to let you know that if you like the drawing I'll be doing later in this video, it is available as a print on my shop, and if you'd like to see it close up, there is a high-res scan of the sketch and of the final piece, and also a post with all my references for it up on my Patreon, and the link is in the description below if you'd like to check that out. So obviously, since my job is my life, a lot of my 2019 goals are work related, but I also have a few points I want to hit on with health, especially physical health, but also mental health. So I'll talk a little bit more about this later on. But one of the first things I really want to improve this year in my art is my sketching. I really want to learn to use it as a tool to improve and as a tool to kind of evolve. So I've been a bit stiff in the past, especially because of social media, where I feel I need to create something that is worth sharing, or that I feel comfortable sharing, otherwise I'm wasting my time basically. But I need to change that mindset and actually just see sketching for what it is, and that's a tool for improvement and development. And I really want to explore that side more. I want to be looser in my sketchbooks. I want to be less worried about whether it's work that was worth it, quotation marks here. So I definitely want to try and incorporate more sketching and change my overview of it this year. And this obviously goes more or less without saying, but I really want to paint a bunch more personal pieces this year. And part of the reason for that is that the more you create, the more you fine-tune who you are as an artist, the more you discover what you are inside as an artist and as a person. And so far I still feel a little bit scattered. I still feel a little bit like I'm not sure what direction I want to take, and so the more I'll create, the more I'll be able to decide and get a feeling of the kind of work I want to put out there. And I really would like by the end of the year to have a fairly consistent portfolio of sorts, so that I can present an image to the world that I feel really fits me as an artist and as a person. Another thing that I included in my 2019 goals would be to get back into sculpting. I did a small amount of sculpting a few years ago when I was still a prosthetic makeup artist, because it's one of the skills that's quite useful as a prosthetic makeup artist, so I wanted to become better at it. If you're interested in seeing the few sculptures I created back then, there is a post on my Patreon about it. I'll link it down below if you'd like to check it out. But basically I just really miss working in 3D, and I think some of my pieces could be really interesting as 3D pieces and as sculptures. So I'm not saying that I'm going to be sculpting tons this year. Sculpting is really time consuming, and it's also space consuming, and I don't really have much of either. So I'm just aiming to maybe get one sculpture done this year. I would be happy if that at least happened, and I'll kind of try and see how it fits into my practice, if it's something that's realistic for me to think about for the future, if it's something that also all of you are interested in seeing more of. So it's just going to be a little bit of a trial and a test for this new experience. Now, something I actually need to do this year is start teaching on Skillshare. And the reason I say need is because I'm still struggling to make a living as an artist. It's going 1,000 times better than it did the year previously, 2017. But still, I'm still not breaking even. I can pay my rent, but that's about it for the time being. And so I need to find avenues to diversify my income, and one of those that I find quite appealing is teaching more. So I really like sharing knowledge. Unfortunately, I'm the kind of person who likes to do things really comprehensively, which isn't the most time effective way of doing things, but tutorials take me a long time to put together, and so I would really like to put some thorough ones together, but put them up on Skillshare for people to view and on Patreon. So I'm hoping to be able to focus a bit more of my time on creating tutorials this year. Plus that goes really well with the fact that I have a gouache workshop planned with Strathmore Papers. You may have seen the announcement either on Patreon or on Instagram. They contacted me at the end of last year to ask me if I was interested in doing a full video series about gouache with them, and that will air at the end of 2019. So that is kind of in the mood of the whole year, and I would also like to create more tutorials alongside that. So my next goal is quite general and kind of fits in with my previous point, and that's hopefully by the end of 2019 actually making a full living as an artist. I'm gonna do as much as I possibly can this year to actually have a more regular income. Right now, although I'm doing okay, I'm not breaking even, so I can for sure pay my rent every month, which is already a massive step in my eyes, but I would really love by the end of the year to be able to actually cover all my expenses, my rent and my living in a comfortable way by the end of the year. So I'm just going to try and put as many things in place this year for that to happen. And then I have what I'd call maybe a fantasy goal, which means that it's something that I would really love to see happen, but I'm not deeply emotionally invested in right now. I would really like to participate in a gallery show if the opportunity ever presents itself. But I'm basically using that goal as motivation to be more forthcoming and more proactive and actually submit my work to contests, competitions and call for artists. So that's basically how I interpret this goal. If things don't happen, I'm perfectly fine with it. I'll just let things develop in their own time, but I basically want to be more proactive. And then alongside those art and business plans, I also have a few points I want to hit on for 2019 regarding my physical health and my mental health. I want to be able to step back and put less pressure on myself, especially regarding social media, as I find it quite difficult not to be stressed about when I'm posting, whether I'm posting, what I'm posting. I want to be able to take a little bit more perspective regarding that. I want to exercise more, especially yoga, because it's such a beneficial thing. I started it last year on a more regular basis, and it kind of fell off the wagon during Inktober and the past few months. So I want to get back into it because I've really noticed the improvement it brings to my general mental and physical well-being. I would really like to use less screens, so I want to be on my phone less. So yeah, like kind of basic New Year resolutions. They're all things that I did put in place already a little bit last year, but I want to explore them even more this year and really stick to a few of them and see if they really improve my day-to-day life. I would really like to try meditating and writing also. These are a lot, so I'm just going to let myself walk into them slowly and at my own pace without forcing myself to do everything at once, and see what sticks and what really helps me out, and just try and generally kind of take a little bit better care of my mental health this year. And now I'm just gonna let you enjoy the rest of this time lapse, and I'll catch up with you at the end of it to talk a little bit about my bullet journal experience and wrap up this video. See you soon. So there you go with the finishing drawing that I did the other day. Once again, you can check out a full post about it on Patreon, and it's available as a print on my shop. I must have been going for some sort of Inktober withdrawal when I decided to draw this, but I had a certain urge to draw some tigers in red and black. So here you go. I hope you enjoy this piece, but I'll have some new paintings for you very soon also. And finally, the last thing I want to try out in 2019, and it ties in with both my business plan and my personal goals to be a bit more healthy, is to have a bullet journal. I'm generally quite organized anyway. I don't think I would be able to handle having my own business if I was really disorganized, and with my anxiety it would just be all a bit too much. So I'm generally quite organized anyway, but I want a system in which everything I need is in one place, and in which I can really keep track of my habits and of how much work I manage to fit in one day. Just something that allows me an overview, something I can go back to and actually reflect on to understand how I worked best and what doesn't work in how I do things right now. So I decided to try out bullet journaling. Don't get excited, it's not a pretty bullet journal at all. Like, I've seen a few videos about minimal bullet journals and they still have more drawings than mine do. Mine doesn't have anything artsy in it at all. It's something that I really need to be extremely minimal and extremely practical, and that's what this one is going to be. And initially, I was always a bit worried about bullet journaling because it felt like it would be an extra pressure and an extra commitment on top of everything else. I felt like it would need to be really pretty and really curated, which I definitely don't have the time to do. And I felt like I would feel compelled to constantly be writing in it. I felt like I would be really stressed out by things like the habit tracker, because I would feel like a list of things I needed to do every day. I would be really annoyed at myself if I wasn't able to check every box. But actually it's been the complete opposite, because everything is in one book. I can just carry this one thing around that's my lifeline, and every important information I need to remember is in there and really well organized, or at least organized in a way that I find really suited to my needs. And especially since my business has grown quite a lot in the past couple of years, the recipes I had to handle and the amount of orders that I had at the beginning of creating my business, for example, are completely different now that I have bigger amounts of orders every week. And so it's something that I've found quite difficult to adapt to. And so having a place in which I can reflect on that kind of thing, something where everything I've managed to handle in the past few days is recorded, I can actually look back on each day's schedule and see how much I can actually fit in a day and what is actually superfluous or what I was overshooting on. And it's just being a really handy business tool. I'll be continuing using it in the next few months. I'll probably be changing a few of the layouts, a few of the different things that I've realized don't work exactly how I want them to yet. If you'd like me to talk a little bit more about it, if you'd like me to check in a few months to let you know how I'm getting on with it, I'd be happy to do so. So do let me know in the comments if that's something that you'd be interested in knowing more about. And I think that's it for me for this video. I hope you enjoyed the drawing. I hope you enjoyed the sneak peek in my bullet journal and hearing about my goals for 2019. I would love to hear more about what you plan on doing for your year. If you have big plans, if you have small plans, if you have small steps that you want to take towards certain projects. It's always lovely to hear how your life is going, so don't hesitate to share in the comments. And on this note, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you're all really well. Take really good care of yourselves, and I'll see you next week. Bye everyone.